Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to day 2 of the Sovereign Woman Masterclass series. I'm so excited that you're here. So I'm going to give everyone just a few seconds to kind of jump on, get their notifications, all the things that Facebook likes to do. And, I am so excited about all of the feedback that I've been getting about yesterday's masterclass, and it's so great. Hey Claire, how you doing? And Teresa's here. Yes, this is so amazing. But the feedback I've gotten from yesterday, from day 1, was it really just kind of like got me even more excited. And this is something, and I try to convey this to my private clients that I work with, and sometimes we just don't get it until we get it. But here's the thing. When you are absolutely, positively just like so excited about what it is that you are doing or teaching or and it could be even just, cooking. If you're super, super excited about your meal, I guarantee you that meal's going to taste extra, extra tasty. Hey, Wani, how you doing? Oh, this is so cool. We've got Canada, we've got the UK, we've got France. I just love the internet. I really do. I say this all the time, but it's like so awesome that we can be all over the world and we're all connected. So, but when you are 100% super passionate about what you are doing, you are naturally going to be excited. It's not about how do I get excited? How do I, get energized? It would just be you. And that's what I'm loving about this masterclass series and this pivot, this shift that I've been making in my business. It's because, and it's really one of the topics we're going to talk about today, which is the masculine and feminine. It is, for so long, I grew up in that masculine vibe, and it's been hard to really kind of break free from it. Hey, Jamie, how you doing? And yet when it happens, it's like you can't do it. There's certain things that you do, certain things that, structures, kinds of things in your business or as you're on your own journey. But it's not until you become that next level person, that next level woman, when you totally open up yourself. And this is something that I have been experiencing and really, really doing with all the work that I've been doing these last, it's ongoing. It's ongoing, but I will say these last 6 months, I really, really made it intentional. So welcome to day 2 of the Sovereign Woman. Day 1 is here in this group. If you missed it, it's here. The replays will be available until April 30th. And then I'm going to pull these down, and it's actually going to be part of something that I've got coming. So you're kind of getting not only the free version, but you're getting the initial version of these topics that I'm feeling called to present to you and bring to you and really gift you with. I see it as a gift because so often, and this goes way back into some of my history, is I always felt I was alone. I always had this inkling that there was something greater, something different, something that I was being called to do, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Because I was so wrapped up in the environment that I was in being a single mom and doing all the things and controlling and making sure, kids got fed and jobs and all the things, that I truly, truly lost myself. But I also looked around at who was in my surroundings. So it was all the parents of my friends, of my sons, and that social circle. They were all into sports. And so it was very much, that was my social life because I was working 3 jobs at the time. And so my social life, all I carved out time for was to go to the games. One of my sons was a junior Olympic Nordic skier. So he competed nationally. And then another one of my other son was very much into basketball. So those, and then there was all the other sports in between. Those were just the 2 that really gravitated, they really pulled and dedicated themselves to. So that was my social circle. And so very often we find that we feel like we're this enigma, we're somebody different. It's like, I don't know, this doesn't fit. And that's where we get stuck, trapped, if you will, into going with the flow of the norm that seems to be around us, even though it doesn't fit. It doesn't feel good for us. So what I wanted to present to you today, so again, day one, we really kind of talked about sovereignty and being a woman in power and how that really truly meant just being 100% yourself and being willing to walk through the fear, to stand in your fear and move through it and be willing to just say, this is me and this is who I am. Kind of like make the statement, live in the statement, and be the statement. So that was yesterday. Today we're going to talk about masculine and feminine energies and how, there really, really needs to be a balance. As with everything in life, there needs to be a balance. It's not one or the other. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to touch a little bit on the mother wounds, but I'm also going to be doing a separate masterclass later this week on mother and father wounds. And then tomorrow, so day 3, what I'm going to do is take these two and really kind of bring it together and give you some ideas and suggestions on how you can incorporate all of these aspects in your business, and how when you're able to do this and when you can truly embody your next level self, that is where the magic is. That is where the money comes from. That is where the clients come from. It is not about a system. It's not about, doing more lives or 12 lives or 10 lives or 4 posts here and being on it. It's not really about any of that doing. It is truly, truly more about you being. And I should say, we do need to incorporate that into our business. We do need to incorporate that into creating the lifestyle that we want and opening ourselves up to the abundance flow. Hey, Allison. So that's what that was yesterday. This is today, and that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow will really kind of just summarize a lot of what's going on. Now, where I am going with this masterclass and why I love to do masterclasses is, first of all, I love to be able to share information. But most importantly, I want to activate you so that you can actually just take the information and not just write it down in your notebook and then say, oh, wow, that was good, put the notebook away. I really want you to integrate. Integration is the embodiment. Integration is how you create the transformation. And that's why it is so important to really allow yourself to have an open mind, even if it's something you've heard before. Yesterday there was someone that, heard something I said yesterday, and I had said it to her. She's one of my private clients. I had said it to her several times, many times. And yet yesterday, for some reason, it felt like that was the first time she heard it. So we hear the messages when we're ready to receive them, but we do have to be open to receiving them. We do have to open that flow of intuition and getting to know ourselves and trusting ourselves. So I'm going to give you, again, some definitions, just some kind of baseline of what I am talking about when I refer to masculine and feminine. And it's not so much the bodies that we're in, the masculine body and the feminine body, as two separate entities. What I am really going to share with you is the fact that in all of us, every human being here, we have all of these aspects, both of these aspects, if you will, within us. And they are, I kind of see them as little generators, if you will, because they're energy sources. They pop up in different ways, and it depends which one sort of is allowed to emerge or has the most fuel or the most power, but it is really the balancing of these two. It's not one or the other. And some of the stuff that you will see on the internet might let you believe like, oh my God, I don't want to be too masculine. I don't want to be, no, that's not good. I need to be over here in feminine. And then you get over in the feminine, it's like, okay, I'm just supposed to, show up and relax and be open to receiving. And then you wonder why it's not working. So, just to give you a little bit of, these are sort of the descriptors, if you will. Masculine, if you really kind of imagine the masculine part being the fire and the feminine being the water. And in the business context, the masculine is the containers, the structure, the systems, and the feminine is the flow. And one of the analogies that I truly love that really helps me to remember and really just get in these concepts when I sort of stray and my mind wants to take over is the masculine is the riverbanks. So the masculine, so a riverbank is not solid, it's not straight, it's very fluid, it's not rigid. So there's a lot of flow and ebb, but yet it guides the feminine. It guides the flow of the water. And, as the outside edges of the masculine kind of erode away, for example, then more water flows in. So it's fluid, but the river needs the masculine, and the masculine needs the river. So that's an analogy I really like. The other thing that we tend to not bring into ourselves is the concept that within our bodies, our right side has much more of the masculine tendencies, the energies, and the left side is the feminine. And that's just something that really will come up a little bit later when I talk about aches and pains and how the misalignment shows up. But within our bodies, we do have the masculine and the feminine. Just by the very nature, we have the left side and the right side. And what's really, really intriguing about that is that they're not the same. We have two hands, but both hands are different. So that's again where this concept of it takes two to make us. It takes two to make the whole. It takes the masculine and the feminine to bring about who we are. And I'm looking down here at my notes because I want to make sure I don't forget anything. Just to give you a little bit about why I started on this journey about a year and a half ago, really tapping into the mother wound and the masculine and feminine energies, is in my last relationship, he and I, we were together for 8 years, and he and I were like definitely divinely guided to be on our journey together because there was so much that we learned from each other. And it was so interesting because as a single mom, I very much had always been in control and had to manage things and do this and do that. And I also grew up, hey Agnes, now we've got Mexico here too. This is just so cool. When I grew up, I was the oldest of 7 kids and my father left. And so there was always this tendency for me to recognize that someone had to take control, someone had to be in charge. And I carried this through into my corporate career. Very much, I started in commercial real estate development in the Los Angeles area. Very high level, very high profile, working with a lot of money and a lot of heavy hitters. And I was really good at what I did. But I also thrived in that, and I didn't know this at the time. I thrived in that because I adapted. I became this very masculine-driven career woman and did not necessarily have any kind of feminine aspects. And by that I mean I would dress the part. I would never, show cleavage. I remember times I would, the blouses and all the things because I didn't want to be seen different than them. Very, very messed up. And in my marriages, the same thing. It was like I was always this dominant partner. And in this last relationship I had is where it really, really came to me. And he would say to me very often, you don't need, let me decide. Let me take care of you. What is it you desire? And it was the very first time that started like this inkling, like, wow, I guess I really do have to feel like I'm running these relationships. And where are we going next? And I had no flow in me, no flow. Very, very sexual. We had a very sexually intense relationship, and it was wonderful to explore in those areas. But from a personality standpoint, I was really very, very closed down to who I was as a woman. So it was very healthy for me to really explore. And when I'm talking today about the masculine and feminine, it's really not going to go into intimacy and sexuality as much as it's you as a woman. This is about you being a sovereign woman. So the sexual concepts and dynamics, I'm not really going to dive deep into those. That's for another discussion. But in this context for today, that's kind of where I'm going with this. So and I need to finish my thought. So that is why I became so fascinated with understanding this masculine piece. And it was 3 years ago that I found a program, literally because I've been asking the universe, it's like, how do I become this feminine person? It was like, to me, it was a foreign entity. I also didn't have a lot of female friends. I didn't know how to relate to females. I really didn't. I got along great with the men. Had no clue how to relate to females. I felt there was competition. I felt they didn't get me. I never felt, a part of all the things. So that's where I really started 3 years ago, and really started diving into what is this feminine piece. And oh my gosh, it just absolutely was just the tip of the iceberg I needed to really kind of dive into this. And so since then, I've been able to really make some shifts in my personal life, make some shifts in how I relate to myself, and also make changes and shifts in how I have my business. So it very much impacts all areas of your life. So let me just take you back really quickly. You probably wonder, well, how do we, kind of get this? And I'm going to take you back to when you were a little girl. When you were a little girl, our parents, they did the best that they could. And some of us have different backgrounds and different life experiences as a child. But for the most part, a lot of it really involved us being told to quiet, dim ourselves, dim our lights. Plus, in the school system, it starts in the school system, that we were told that if we wanted to be successful, we had to sort of have some power. We had to, have that adaptation of that masculine energy. Hey, Michelle, thanks for being here. And so we kind of took on these masks, if you will, of what we were taught. We were taught that to be successful, we had to have that drive, and it was like a survival thing. And especially when we got into colleges, and there's all this competition, sports, all the things, and for some of you, there was always this context from your parents or your mother or your grandmothers of be strong, be independent, don't depend on a man. And so a lot of this really just kind of started those tapes, those limiting beliefs that we have carried into our adulthood, into our adult relationships, into our businesses. And it just became that dominant force, survival. I need to do this. There's competition, all of the things. And we were never allowed that nurturing, that it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. Oh my gosh. I was always told, suck it up. You've got kids, you've got brothers and sisters here you got to take care of. Or, don't show that you have any weakness. And so for me personally, again, being the oldest of 7 kids, I excelled at school. I was awesome. I was great. I had straight A's, did all the things, had all the projects, everything. And I really, in hindsight, never got to be a little girl. So it wasn't until about 3 years ago that this concept of really listening to my little girl came into play, and it was like, I don't even know who she was. I had no idea what she needed. I had stuffed her down for so many years. And if any of you have questions along the way or comments, just put them in here and we'll kind of dialogue about them. But these masks, I like to call them masks of society. And I know right now masks, I probably should change that for my coursework. But to me that's what it felt like. It felt like I had like this invisible layer over me. And it wasn't a wall, because I had people that I would let get close. But it was like there was like this layer that was just you couldn't get into. And not only that, I couldn't get into it. I didn't know who I was. And so it really was this awakening, this cracking open, if you will. I love that description of being cracked open, because that's what it is. As we grow and emerge and become awakened, it's a continual process. It's an ongoing journey. And in fact, this is a practice. This is a practice. There is not a finish line. You don't get to the end and get, that certificate that says, oh my God, now you are at that next level. It is always something that's going to be growing and changing in us. And so as mothers, and especially for those of you with children, once again, it really becomes, it was expected of us from these masks of society. Now you're a mother, now you're a caregiver. You put everybody ahead of them. You're also a career woman and a mother. It's like, okay, put this mask on, put this mask on. And I know for myself, that's truly how I felt. I felt like I had to keep so many things going at the same time. And to be able to really, really understand that I had a voice and to find it. It's like conceptually, I understood that. Okay, cool, I can do what I want to do. But I was still stuck with, I don't know what I want to do. And so through this self-discovery of the masculine and the feminine, I was able to really start to kind of open up my body, open up my heart to listening differently, to becoming a different person, to be willing to experiment and try some of the techniques and things that I had been learning along the way. And one of the key pieces for me was really, really understanding and trusting my intuition. So we talked a little bit about that yesterday, but everybody has the answer. Whatever your question is right now, you know absolutely positively what the answer is. But we've been given these concepts, we've been kind of given the beliefs that we don't trust ourselves. We don't listen to that little niggle, if you will, that little voice that comes up, because that little voice is guiding us to be different than the norm. And our human likes to be in the norm, likes to be in that comfort zone. It doesn't want to have to work. That's why we stay so much up here. It's like it's all routine, it's all programmed. It's like, nope, we do this, we do this, we do this. And when we start living and thinking from our heart, oh my gosh, the fear comes up, the mind goes and it says, no, don't do that. No, last time you did that, no. And we back away. We go, that's right. Even though we know what we really want to be doing. So I'm going to read to you just a couple of characteristics, because I found this to be really helpful for me to really start grasping the masculine and feminine. Because again, we have all of this within us. It's your core desire is a balance of your masculine and feminine. And what I want to suggest to you today is to not fear being too feminine or being too masculine. It's really understanding that they each work together in a synergy that can be so powerful when you stand up and show up and trust that that is your essence. Because that synergy, that combination, that sweet spot, if you will, is your voice, is your purpose. So I'm just going to read to you a few. There's a big list here. In fact, I'll post this in the group. Masculine characteristics: strong, controlled, focused, loves a competition, makes big things small, needs admiration and appreciation, that validation piece, wants to be needed and respected. Now, when I read that list initially, it was like, oh, sure, yeah, that's me. Yeah, cool. Got it, nailed it. Because that was exactly what I thought was what I needed to be doing in my life. So the feminine, these are just, again, some of the characteristics. It's free, flowing, open, seeks and gives love, makes small things big, remembers. Oh my gosh, my memory of memories that I've created with my kids, I can list them all off with dates and times and all the things. The feminine wants to trust and wants that connection, and is emotion driven. Sorry, I have some planes flying over. Emotion driven. So I want to just hit on a couple of these words. Imagine this: being in college and making all your choices, college, university, from your emotions. I bet you, if you really think back to that time, it almost is like incomprehensible. It's like, no, I'm here, I'm at university, I'm here to get my degree so that I can go get a job, so I can get the 6 figures, so I can buy the house, so I can get married and have the kids. We were never really taught that emotions were okay. And we were never allowed the opportunity to let our emotions decide what we're going to do that day. And I can so remember back when I was in elementary school, and I loved doing reports and being in front of the class and all the things. But I remember this one time, there was some chaos going on at my house. It was a very dysfunctional alcoholic environment, and I showed up from school to actually escape the craziness at home. But I remember I was supposed to be given a report that day, and I was upset. I had been crying on my way to school, and I really didn't want to do this report. And I remember going up to the nun, because I was in Catholic school, and telling her, you know what, I really just don't feel like doing this today. And that was not a good reason. She goes, what do you mean? I said, I just don't feel like doing this today. Can I just do this tomorrow? And I was told that, no, this is what you said you were going to do. You do this regardless. And she didn't say suck it up, but she basically said, you just go ahead and you do it and push your emotions away. Push those feelings away. And I remember at the time thinking, this sucks. And I did it, and I felt inside, I felt sick, just absolutely sick. And so I learned early on, emotions aren't good. Emotions aren't good. So I never allowed myself to cry. The challenges that I went through with my son's father and some of the abuse things and just other challenges, I never allowed myself to feel, because I had always been brought up with, you don't show your feelings. That was a sign of weakness. One of the other things that I remember when I looked at this type of list was, that felt very irresponsible. That didn't feel, to be in that feminine free and freedom and radiant and flow, it felt very, it's not something I can control. And I had been so used to the controlling piece. So where this leads to is, and as we go further on this journey, this is where the mother wounds and the father wounds tend to come up. Because when we go back and we look at our caregivers, our family, and this could be aunts and uncles, it depends how big your family was. But we saw the roles of the mother and the father. We saw the roles of the masculine and the feminine. And oftentimes, especially if you have a strong cultural background of growing up, there was a lot of dynamics where women were only supposed to speak when spoken to. Women were there to cook and clean and make the dinners, and the men made the money. And there were some very clearly defined roles that we grew up witnessing and seeing. And, you know, if someone kind of did something different within the family, it was like they were considered the black sheep. It's like, oh yeah, we don't talk to Aunt Mary. We don't, you know, Aunt Mary is just, we were told we were crazy if we wanted to do something different. So a lot of this really comes from that point. And so where we see these mother wounds, where we tie this into this masculine feminine concept, is the mother wounds is where we have our guilt and shame. Because we don't necessarily value ourselves. We don't think we're enough. We don't think we're worthy of the money, of the success, of the friends, of whatever, of our desires. We don't think we're worthy. And then when you kind of layer that on with the relationship that you had with your father, it's like little girls always wanted to be recognized by their father. Always, always, always. And it could just be something as simple as, you know, one day he said he was going to take you for an ice cream, and then you were waiting all day long, waiting for him to come, and for whatever reason, he says, oh yeah, we're not going to go today. It could be something as simple as that really kind of gets inbred into our DNA, and we pick that up, we latch onto it, and we say, well, I'm not ever going to let myself get disappointed again. Or men don't always do what they say they're going to do. I can't trust men. So a lot of this is very interwoven. And the father wound is where we want to control things so we don't get disappointed. We don't trust other people if we've been disappointed. And when we look at the masculine and feminine aspects in us, it really is kind of this big, big mixture that when you take a look at it and really kind of understand it, it's so much easier to really transcend it and to take that and to transform from it. And for me, I remember I didn't want to look at my past. It was like, nothing's there for me. I know it was kind of crappy, didn't want to do it. I have literally, especially this last year, really had to go back and check with siblings and check with other people and recreate my own timeline, because I had stuffed away so many events and emotions and things that had come up in my life, totally stuffed them away. And then I got to this point where I was very, very scared of going deeper with this work. And what I found was actually all those dark, shadowy secrets and things that I knew were kind of lurking in the back of my mind, or I always imagined it as a storage unit, storage closet. It's like, I don't want to take that box out. But when I had the courage with the guidance of a mentor to be able to take that box out and really look at some of it, it was not as scary as I thought. And what it gave me was the freedom to say, do I still need this? Do I still need this limiting belief? And most of the time was like, you know what? No, it served me then, doesn't fit for me now, and literally visualize recycling it. And from an energetic level, it absolutely created the space to be able to accept so much more, to get into the feminine, to start receiving, because I wasn't all stuffed and clogged up with all these dark boxes of crap that I had collected along the way. And so it has given me that freedom. And when we talk about doing some of the shadow work, when we talk about looking at some of the mother and father wounds, it does feel very scary. And it's like, I don't know. And again, we think from here and go, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can handle that right now. I'll wait until next year. And we wonder why we're not growing. We wonder why our business isn't flourishing, the clients aren't coming, the money's not coming. It is totally tied into these limiting beliefs, these wounds that we have that are left unaddressed, unchecked, tapped, if you will. And what I personally have found, and I've been doing some of this work with some of my private clients, and what I have absolutely found is when you get the courage to absolutely dive in and look at it, it's nothing. It like vaporizes. It absolutely vaporizes. And you are so much freer to say, you know what? That limiting belief wasn't even my belief. I absolutely don't believe that I need to work 40 hours a week and collect a paycheck. It's like, who came up with that story? It's like you literally get this concept of, oh shit, I can do what I want. I can have my own business. I don't have to go to a 9-to-5 job. But the guilt and the shame that's been told upon us for years and years and years is been layered and layered, and we've compounded it. It's like, oh yeah, I better do what everybody else is doing and get a 9-to-5 job. It's like, thank goodness for all of the shifts globally that happened last year that allowed us to have the freedom to stay home to really say, what is it I want to do? Because that is why you're seeing so many women being brave, being bold, doing the work, showing up online, and creating businesses of all different types. It's not just coaching. I know we feel like everything online is coaching. There's so many other women doing so many other jobs and services and things online. But thank goodness we were given that permission to stay home and not go to our 9-to-5 jobs. Because that actually gave all of us globally the opportunity to take that step back and to open ourselves up and say, that isn't really working for me anymore. What else is there? And the emergence of women that are showing up, that are standing in their sovereign power and saying, this is me and this is what I do, and be able to attract women on their same level that want that same type of transformation has exploded. And it's exploded simply because we were kept quiet. And I truly believe that the changes and some of the situations that are going on are designed for us to really make these choices. Do we want to still be in the norm? Do we want to still go with what everybody else is doing? Or do we want to hold firm and say, no, not for me? So that is really, a piece of this concept of the masculine and feminine. Tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to be able to take all of this and really put it in a context of how this shows up in your business, how you can make some shifts so that you can open to receiving. But what I'm feeling called to just kind of clarify right now, in business, and this is where you see a lot of this chatter going on online. It's like, oh, the masculine energy is all about the hustle and all about the, do, and get this system, get that funnel, do this, do that. And then you hear about the feminine, which is the receiver. And so many of us think that the money comes from the doing, from the masculine energy. But it doesn't. The money comes. You receive the abundance. You receive whatever it is you desire in your feminine essence. We are the receiver. We are the receiver in our physical form. We receive the masculine energy. We receive a child. We can create. You create in feminine. You don't create in your masculine. Now, again, going back to the original, the analogy of the river, your business does need that framework, those guidelines. So it does need some of that. But you do not need to hustle. You do not need to be only working on your business every time because I need the money. That's where it gets really wonky and misaligned. And it depends on your authority and your human design too, because that will actually throw you out of alignment as well. So it's this balance of, yes, I need to be able to have some of the systems in place, but I create and I receive in the feminine. And the feminine is here. The feminine is your heart. The masculine is your head. Whenever you find yourself thinking about, this is what I need to do, I should do this, what about this, how am I going to do this, all those kind of control words that you may, repeat to yourself on a regular basis, that's when you know you're in your masculine. And it's bringing it into a balance. It's like, no, what do I feel like doing? And it might be the middle of the day and you decide to go for a walk. That's okay. It's going to freak your masculine mind out, like, no, it's only 2:00. What do you mean? We're used to working 9 to 5. We got to do this. I have made more money when I have not been sitting at my desk than when I've been sitting at my desk. But we get so trapped in that. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. But for today, what I want to really kind of leave you with, as far as, because I always like to be able to give you opportunities to integrate. It's so, so, so important. I don't care how much money you spend on programs, which programs you buy, who the leader is. There's a lot of good programs and leaders and coaches and all the things out there. However, if you find that you continue to say, well, I need this, and oh, you know what? Now I need, before I launch my business, I need Instagram. I'm going to take an Instagram course. Or, you know what? Before I figure out my course, I'm gonna see what this person's doing. I'm gonna do that and see what she's got going. If you find that is kind of what's going on, that is your masculine energy that is holding you back from moving forward. Because I guarantee you, every one of you on here right now, and any of you watching the replay, anybody in my group, I guarantee you, you have enough experience. That's all you need is your experience to be able to launch your business today, to be able to launch that next program today. You do not need another program, another program. You don't need to read another book. You don't need to watch another YouTube video. You don't need to watch another, how-to series. You don't need, and in all honesty, you don't need to hire a coach. A coach will get you where you want to go faster and collapse time for you, but you don't need that. So there's women that think, oh, I'll launch my business as soon as I can afford this coach. The coach isn't magically going to make your business successful. It's still going to come down to you. And so you have exactly everything that you need right now. And it's just a matter of tweaking it. It's a matter of really just kind of having that support system, whether it be a masterclass or, a mastermind or a coach or a mentor, that really kind of keeps you going, because we all need the accountability. We all need that. And we also want to know that there's someone that has our back. Because oftentimes our partners, our spouse, our family, they don't understand what we're doing. So surround yourself with others that are doing what you're doing, and you will collapse the time and you will move forward in a much quicker manner. But it still comes down to you. You still have to take the action. So masculine and feminine energy, and this goes back to opposite. Right side is masculine, left side is feminine. What I want you to really just kind of understand is coming in tune with your body. Our bodies tell us many, many things. And it shows up in different ways. Sometimes we, hurt our finger, our left finger. Other times it might be our right knee. But all of those are indicators that something's out of alignment. And it's showing up physically, but it is energetically an internal shift that you can make. So for example, what I would like to say is, when you're finding that you might be out of balance, when you're really feeling overwhelmed is a good indicator of being out of alignment. When you're feeling that, when you're feeling anxious, when you're, which is different than excitement, when you're just feeling that, you will start feeling it in your body. Your body will literally kind of send you signals of just being like, ugh. And that's when you stop. And what I want you to do is really just, this can be done in 5 minutes if you want. You can obviously do it longer, but is just close your eyes and do a quick body scan. Literally just imagine, starting at the crown chakra, just visualize going through your body. And you can visualize it, if you want, as kind of this external scanner, and just see where that energy is stuck. Where are you feeling that discomfort? Where are you feeling that guilt about not making the money? Where are you feeling the shame because the client left you and went and worked with someone else? Where are you feeling that discomfort? And recognize right or left. Just kind of be curious, if you will. It's like, isn't that interesting? My right knee has been acting up, and I wonder what that's all about. And just do a check with, have I been a little bit too much in my masculine? Lots of times our body aches and pains will be in the opposite. So your right knee might be overcompensating for something of not taking care of your feminine. And if you can really come into tune with your body, this is where the energetics becomes so important, and with marketing and promoting, is energetically your body will guide you. And I know for me, I used to always have pain in my left, I keep looking at myself, in my left shoulder. Years. My shoulders have always been the worst. I've always carried all of my pain there, all of my guilt. And what I really came to learn was when it's just my right side, it's because when it's my left side, my right side is overworked. It's overtaxed. I'm way too much in my masculine. So it doesn't come as any surprise where for years my left side was always the one that was most aggravated. It was that trying to balance the two. And another really, really great way to tap into this balancing act is, you hear about self-care, and I'm all about bubble baths and getting your nails done and all the things. But self-care is just, to me, that's a little bit of an external Band-Aid, if you will. What I would like to see you do is take it inside and start romancing yourself. How do you want to be loved? And how do you want to be seen? And recognize that you give yourself the validation. It's not the external validation that the masculine thinks that we need. It's you as a feminine goddess. You are satisfied. You are happy. You are enough. You love yourself from yourself, starting with you. And I call it romancing yourself because this was a process that I had to learn over these last few years since I broke up, my relationship ended, was how do I really want to be loved? What really turns me on? Physically, where is my pleasure? And how can I tap into that? Because if I'm expecting a partner, a man, to be the one that's going to activate that, it's never necessarily going to work. It's going to become that dynamic of the masculine and feminine in relationships that we're not going to dive into today. But if I don't know what turns me on, how do I expect a partner to know? How do I expect a man to know? And so when you can take that time to romance yourself, put a dress on, even if you're home during the day, put a dress on, put your hair up, put your makeup on if you don't usually put makeup on. Dance. This is where dance parties come into play. It's just put on some really fun, sensual music and really just kind of let your body be. That is a great way to come back into balance. And if you have kids at home, get them involved in the dance party. They think it's like a kick. And make it fun. But it is again coming back to this way to be able to cultivate and blend the masculine and the feminine, and not be. It's becoming more aware. Is how I've been able to work with myself, but how I guide others. It's becoming aware. So much like I said yesterday, this is an activation call. This is something you are being activated, because I am opening up or planting the seeds, if you will, on some concepts and ideas that you probably have known about, but you've not necessarily wanted to go to. And I'm here to say that if you are here today, if you're in my world, if you're in any of the networks that I'm in, we have been called. Now is the time. The old business paradigms of the hustle and the hierarchies and have been dismantled. And it is us as feminine sovereign leaders of ourselves first that allows us to open up and receive, and be receiving more of the money and the wealth that is out there. And that you see this online. You see all of the women millionaires that are showing up. They have done the work. And the work that they're doing is not about the systems. It's not from the masculine. It is really doing the work and showing up in their feminine essence and being open to receiving, not caring how many likes they get on their post or not, knowing that they are showing up with a message as a channel for the greater good. And when you show up every day in your sovereign power with that intent, not with the intent of making money, not with the intent of how many, in your essence, in your balanced relationship piece, honestly, all I need was you. You pushed me to thinking about things for myself. And Teresa says she wears her wedding shoes all the time. That's awesome. I love that. So Wani, I'm gonna, hi, sorry about that. So Wani, I'm gonna speak to what you had said about the relationships. When we are looking to being open and receiving, it is, again, this romanticizing yourself and being okay with being yourself and recognizing that what you have is enough. So often we think we need the relationship. Oh, good, I'm back. We think we need the relationship. We think we need the systems. We think we need the better house, the different house, all the things, because it's an indicator. Check yourself and just kind of see, because if you're not happy where you are, with who you're with or not with, if you're not happy with yourself exactly where you are today, then anything that you're desiring can have a nuance of lack. In other words, I'm not happy where I'm at, and I expect that other thing to complete me. And so I would just kind of be curious and maybe do some journaling on that aspect. I'm in the same situation. I have not been in a relationship for, I think, almost 3 years now. But I also knew at the time I had been asking for the space to really, really be able to dive into me and who I was and do the work. And guess what? The universe kind of gave that to me. It wasn't exactly what I expected, but the universe has a plan. So I totally am looking at this concept of, you know what? I'm not in a relationship right now. I'm also getting ready to leave where I'm at. So there's not really a reason for me to want to connect with anyone. Do I miss the physical intimacy? Yes. Can I still pleasure myself and have satisfaction in that way? Yes. So I know for me, it's just where I am today. This is because I know I'm being divinely guided. I totally believe this. That is why I'm being led to give up this apartment and hit the road for a couple of months and just see what's out there. That is where I'm being led. I listen. I've learned to trust my intuition. And I truly believe that's probably where my relationship, my man will be, because it's just not in this current situation. So I have to let it be okay. Do I get lonely? Yeah. But I make it okay. I just I know that this is just where I'm at right now. So I hope that's helpful. And I'm sorry that I froze. So that is kind of the end of day 2. And I hope, again, this is a ton of information. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And what I am going to be introducing is a program that I have coming up that's going to be a lot more expansive. We're going to dive a lot deeper into this and really bring it into full circle with business and how you show up in relationships and all the things. So I'm going to be announcing all of that later today, I believe. Just waiting for my graphic. And that's where we'll go deeper. So this, I hope, really just gave you some things to think about. Planting of the seeds, as I like to say, because I want you to just be open to these concepts. Be open to seeing the signs that come up. Be open to listening to your body and recognizing, wow, yeah, I might have just kind of slept wrong, but what's kind of going on with that? And it's really, really just such a potent way to tap into your own energy and to start building that trust with your own intuition. And, a headache, like this morning, last night with the full moon in Scorpio, I did this very potent meditation with opening up my third eye. And interestingly enough, this morning I woke up and I had a headache that was right here. Now my brain goes, oh, you've got a headache. But it was like instantaneously, I know, it's like, of course, I activated my third eye last night. It's totally fine. It's adjusting to this human form. I've activated it and it basically disappeared. So it wasn't like, oh my God, I have a headache. I can't get up. I can't do this. Give me the aspirin, all the things. I know that my body is adjusting to all of the ascension vibes that are out there and all of the lunar energy and all the work that I've been doing. Is it just uncomfortable? Yeah, but I know it goes away. I know it goes away. It's not a symptom of something else. I would know intuitively. So I thank you all for being here for day 2. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments. I'm hoping tomorrow we will be live here in this group again. It'll be at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And I'm going to take these last 2 days and really kind of merge it together and give you some concepts of how you can apply it in your business, how you can manifest or open up those wealth portals, if you will, and how you can really understand what it is to be in that quantum level and change your frequency of messaging with the energy of